Hello, my name is Frank Peters, and I'm here today together with Dr. Burris, who is speaking to us about an essay that he wrote for the book The Big Casino, and the title of his essay is called Sylvia. Welcome, Dr. Burris.
Thank you. So when I met Sylvia in 1997, it was at a time where I'd been a full-fledged oncologist for 6 or 7 years. Much of my background, even early on, was working with investigational drugs, and had this patient come in who'd had diagnosis of a relapse, and she was somebody that I was giving bad news to, and we were going to have to sort of discuss what might be an event which would begin to limit her life. I mean, now her cancer had come back, and we knew it would be in an incurable state. And from the very first visits to as we got to know each other, seeing each other every few weeks over a period of years, really opened my eyes to the idea that you don't need to keep your guard up with patients. That actually, as you get to know these patients, half the conversations end up being about friends and family and what they're doing in life. And Sylvia cared more about how I was doing than how she was doing, and she cared more about how her nurses and other patients were doing than herself. She always felt like she'd be okay, and was just never exhibited any fear. So it really didn't enable me to let my guard down, enabled me to be comfortable, and she changed how I treated other patients.
Yeah, and did it help you to feel less, how do you say this, less bad about the fact that you may not have alternative treatments anymore for her, or how do I look at that?
So exactly, I think that Sylvia knew that I had her best interest in heart, that she had great trust in me, and we went down the path knowing that we were going to take it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, and dealt with whatever came to be. Sylvia was one of those people who sort of that Southern upbringing where she believed that a great way to your heart was through your stomach as well. And she would make these incredible cakes that were made with so much love. I mean, she didn't bake them just to bring them to the clinic. I mean, she got up that morning and baked them, and she took great pride if they were warm when she came in. I mean, there was no prep, you could tell she was just somebody who did it with love. And it grew to an experience where she brought them in, not just for me, but for the clinic, and it became something where even my family was like, wow, did Sylvia come in this week? Great, and they look forward to their piece of Sylvia's cake.
You almost make it sound like it was a party when she was coming in, for her as well as for you and the team.
Exactly, and to fast forward, I think when Sylvia eventually passed away 13 years later, it was a scenario where there was something missing from the chemotherapy room. When she was there, and she didn't have to be there that day, her presence and the nurses remembering folks like her, gave them a sense of purpose in what they were doing. And that is so important. Cancer is a sad disease. We've made great strides, but she was one of those people that actually brought life to the clinic and actually caused the nurses to have greater energy as well as the physicians.
Yeah, I can understand that. As soon as someone like that walks in, that brings in energy.
Yes.
Yeah, you end the essay with one sentence that was a very remarkable one. Do you recall what that sentence was?
I do, and I made the statement, and I said this often. I said this when I went to her funeral, that I didn't take care of Sylvia, Sylvia took care of me.